My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we have House of Dragon star Graham McTavish to talk about the show that is set nearly 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. It tells the story of the Targaryen Civil War, with everyone battling for control of the Iron Throne. So to talk about House of Dragon, and of course a little bit about Outlander, here's Graham McTavish. The career that you have had is one of the most unbelievable careers I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff that you have done. I guess I want to start out with just a kind of like a nice, easy intro question. When I was doing research and even things that I've watched, I think one of your big movies was probably Rambo. I think probably in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like lists and lists of stuff and stuff. So, like, what would your advice be to actors that are like getting involved in the industry?
Oh dear. And that's the easy question. Wow.
That's my easy one.
No, it's very difficult to answer. I think, well, every career is different. Every circumstance is different. I was lucky to have a long and busy career in theatre for, the best part of 20 years, really. Especially in Scotland, I was doing a lot of theatre. And I think that really gives you a very solid foundation. It makes you prepared for anything, really. If you can do repertory theatre, where you have very little rehearsal time and you're expected to just be game ready when the first night happens, it just means that you're able to adapt to whatever the career throws at you. And other than that, I mean, I was told, funny you should mention Rambo, I was told by Sylvester Stallone's manager at the time when we were doing it, he said an acting career needs three things, where he says there are three things that an acting career can have. Can have talent,
Okay.
can have luck, and you can have determination. Just, dogged perseverance. And he said you have to have two. You can't just have one. So you can be completely untalented. And goodness knows I would argue that there are people in this business who aren't very talented.
Right.
But as long as you have luck and perseverance, it is possible to have a career. But it's preferable to go down the talent and perseverance route. But perseverance is, I mean, it's not I think the main thing that I would say to anybody is don't expect it to be easy.
Right.
It isn't. It is a career built on rejection.
That's why, like, I don't know how you've done it, because I know, like, people say that they build like a thick skin, but still, to get so many no's, or, to have to fight your way to get a part or convince whoever, I just don't know. I kind of don't know why anyone would want to even enter it to begin with.
No, absolutely. And that's a very good point. And that's something else that I say to people. This is not a career that you would choose because, well, you think, oh, that might be fun. It's really something that you have to do. It's you are driven by something like an engine inside you that makes you want to do it. Really, really, really makes you want to do it. Not just because somebody once told you that you were cute in a school play or whatever. That there has to be something more, and it takes over your life, really. I mean, I've moved all over the world for my career, and and that has come with its own difficulties, inevitably. But you just keep. When I started, it was very different. When I started, like in theatre, you used to be able to write directly to the directors and say, "Hey, I'm just out of university. What are you doing at the moment? What are you rehearsing? Anything for me, basically." And then they would write back. They'd actually write back a letter and say, "Yeah, hey, why don't you come in and meet?" And then you'd go in, and they'd give you an audition, and if they liked you, then then you might get the part. And whereas now, I mean, I definitely think now the hurdles are greater in many ways because there are layers of gatekeepers in play now that
Right.
there weren't so much before. But nevertheless, you learn also not to take it personally and not to take no for an answer. So, an example of that would be for me that I was trying to get work. I was in my early 20s and I was doing a one-man show and a two-man show called The Zoo Story and Cramp's Last Tape, right? And I was doing it one night only in a place called Bristol. And there was a lady casting director there called Liz Jeffries. And she promised that she would come and see this play. And that was going to be my chance to be able to get into some TV.
Right.
So I did the play, good performance, came out, no sign of her.
Oh,
She didn't make it.
yeah.
No, she didn't make it. So I rang her and said in the days where you could just ring them and no secretaries or anything. And she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that yeah, I couldn't make it. Are you doing it again?" And of course, I wasn't doing it again. And I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'll just come in. I'll just come in and see you."
Wow.
And she went, "Oh, yeah, sure. No, absolutely. Come in." So I went in and I said, she apologized again. And I said, "No, that's absolutely fine, Liz. I totally understand. Why don't I do some of it now?" And she went, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I'll just do one of the big speeches that Jerry has in the Zoo Story. I'll do it now." And she went, "Oh, okay." So I did, but it's basically a 5-minute monologue from the play. And she cast me in a TV show. You just develop this kind of just determination that and you also have to believe in yourself. You can't just hope that other people believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. So you have to convince yourself with this kind of Jedi mind trick that you're doing them a favor by coming in to see them
Right.
because you're going to be great. And so, yeah, that's a very long-winded way of answering
No,
that
that's
question.
amazing. That's such a great story though. And like it's just showing you true, like, it's true when people say that persistence or, don't give up or think of outside the box.
Mm,
I think when someone's famous, you're like, yeah, yeah, that's easy. But to hear
mm.
someone tell a story like, oh no, she didn't even show up and this is what I did.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
great example, like to inspire people that are younger, or people that are older that are still trying to get in, into
Well,
acting.
I remember Tim Roth used to go to the same pub as me in London, in Camberwell. And I remember that when he was starting out, he used to go around and find the addresses of famous film and television directors. And he would go and just knock on their doors, just knock on the door. Complete stranger. The person would open the door and he would say, "Hi, my name's Tim Roth. I'm a really good actor. You should employ me." And that's what he would do. And probably 99 out of 100 of them just slammed the door in his face, but one of them would go, why do you say that? And here we are, there's Tim Roth.
But I mean, and that kind of is funny because it kind of takes me almost to your character in House of Dragon in a way, because
Yes,
the sacrifice and the amount of stuff that he gives up in order to be like Lord Commander and
yes.
his gut and do all the good and follow his kind of moral compass. So for
Mm,
you, what was that like? I know obviously it must be difficult playing historical figures. You do play historical modern, so I don't know if you prefer one over the other. But in
mm,
in terms of this show, the sacrifice that he goes through is very similar, I feel like, to what you just said. Um,
mm.
Giving up everything to kind of
Yeah,
be there for somebody.
yeah, yeah. No, no, sure. I mean, old Harold, he, that's the order, the King's Guard are they're like sort of warrior monks, really. They forsake everything. They forsake relationships, money, titles, land, all in the service of the king. And it's a very kind of old fashioned concept, really. Duty and service
Mm.
and honor. That there are people who live by those words. I mean, in the world of House of the Dragon, he's probably, I would possibly argue, the only decent human being walking around in Westeros. He certainly hasn't got a lot of friends. I always imagined that Harold would finish his day, bow or whatever, say thank you, good night, and just go to his tiny room where there probably wasn't even a bed, probably had to sleep standing up, and just quietly weep
Yeah.
at yet another day of backstabbing, viperish kind of behavior
It's
that,
crazy.
that they indulge in. So yeah, it was a lonely road for Harold.
And then, it's funny because with that show, I heard that you were a little upset that you didn't get a dragon, which listen, I would understand. I would be very upset about this, not having my own
Right.
dragon.
I was
Um,
very, very upset.
so how was
I, I'd seen all of Game of Thrones and I loved all that.
it?
And of course, the show's called House of the Dragon, right? And Ryan, who was the showrunner, Ryan Condal, had talked to me years earlier about it, saying, "Oh, I want you to be involved and everything like that." I'm like, "Yes, great, great. Got the beard, I'm ready, and I'm used to swords. Practically sleep with one, so I'm your man." And then, I remember going for a walk with him in London before it all started, and I said, "So Ryan, tell me a bit more about Harold. I mean, what kind of dragon does he have?" And he said, "Oh no, Harold doesn't have a dragon. He's no." And I went, "I'm sorry. What do you mean? No, no dragon?" He went, "Yeah, yeah. Other people have dragons, but he doesn't have one." So I had a horse.
Which you've had before, so I guess that wasn't that special,
It's not the same.
for you.
No, it's not the same. So yeah, I was a little disappointed, and it was very difficult breaking that news to my children.
I'm sure you're like,
Mm.
yeah, no, I got a horse though. No, no, not excited,
Yeah, it
but
doesn't fly.
it's not the
No,
same. Not the same thing to
no,
them.
doesn't breathe fire. No.
How was it for the finale? Because I know a lot of people were questioning you in terms of your character. Which side is he going to go on? Obviously,
Mm,
Nair, which makes sense. I think that's where his heart was going and his morals. So
mm.
ultimately, when you see it, are you happy with the decision he made? Happy with the dragons in it?
If you're a character like Harold Westerling, there is only one decision you can make, and that's the one he made,
Right.
which is you have to walk away from these people, put distance between yourself and them until such time as your services are actually required, where you can actually fulfill the duty that you signed up for. Um, and he doesn't want any part of political assassination and murder of somebody who he's known since she was a child. I mean, the hardest thing for him would have been laying down that cloak, because the
Right.
cloak is very symbolic of something that he swore to defend and uphold and all the rest of it. And I think that the symbolism of that for him would have been very, very powerful. And that would have been the difficult moment. But I think the decision to do it was really to underline. I mean, he could have just walked out and said, bye,
Right.
I'll catch you later. Sorry, I've got other things to do. But he wanted to underline the sheer weight of what he was doing, that this cannot be tolerated. And it's, in the world that we live in now, it's such a wonderful kind of example of somebody who is, a dying breed, really.
Yeah.
Somebody who stands by his principles.
Yeah, because not only does he stand by them, but like you said, I mean, it's one thing to just walk away. It's another thing
Mm,
to really make a moment. And you had a moment. I mean, he has a
mm,
moment where he's
mm,
like, I'm doing
mm.
this, and it's not for show. It's not for
Yeah,
any other reason other than to
no,
say that's how serious this
yeah,
moment is for me and
yes,
what's going on. And
yes,
I mean,
yes,
it's amazing to watch.
yes. I mean, it's the contrast between someone who acts um, through conscience, as opposed to someone who acts through self-interest. And there's a lot of self-interest going on in House of the Dragon, various people and all the rest of it, and all the plots and the factions and this and the that and the agendas. And Harold doesn't really have an agenda. He's a straight arrow, and it was great.
So of course I have to ask you, and I'm sure you're getting asked this and you can't answer it, but I have to ask. Everyone wants to know if you're going to be back for season 2.
Yeah,
I should say, like, if they asked you, what if I said that? If they asked you, would you be able to come back for season 2, or would you want to come back?
yeah. I mean, I just can't really say.
Can't say
I think
anything.
it's so difficult. It's like, your career now is constantly about, plausible denial. It's absurd. It
Well,
is.
a lot of the shows like you're on, I
Mm.
mean, come on, they're number one huge, massive show. So I always go, I
Yeah.
have to do interviews because every question we ask, you can't answer anyway. But it's like, give them something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I can say it is
Hmm.
that I love being in all of those shows that
Okay.
I've been lucky enough to be a part of, and until they end completely, I would always be delighted to return in any capacity.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with yes, you're coming back, just because I want to see him. So I'm gonna go with yes, he's coming back. So that takes me obviously to the beloved Outlander, right? I'm sure
Yes.
in every interview for you. I mean Dougal. I don't know. I just loved him, and with you and Sam together, which the two of you crack me up. But
Mm,
as characters, with Jamie and having to stab him, and like just how that whole scene played out was so
mm,
heartbreaking and was so
yeah.
difficult, I think, for all of us to have to say goodbye to him, and it was so beautifully done.
Yeah.
So, obviously it was announced you're coming back.
Yes.
So, can you talk at all about what it's like?
I can talk about what it feels like to be coming back.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, because
Oh,
it's been a long time. It's been a
it
hard
has. It's
wait.
been 6 years that Dougal has been away, and no, I'm absolutely delighted. I actually bumped into Matt Roberts, the one of the showrunners, in the lounge in LAX by accident, and he said, "Oh, by the way, we're planning to bring you back." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And that was months and months ago. And so, yes, it's obviously been in their mind for a while, but I'm really happy about it. Yeah, it's great to revisit that and don the Dougal again,
Mhm.
to be, in the outfit, get the bonnet on, get the plaid, the sword, all of that stuff. It'll be great. Just yeah, yeah. No, it's very exciting, and it's actually very rare. Well, it's never happened to me, I don't think, where I've come back in that way to something that I've been in before.
We also have to ask really quickly for Men in Kilts, is there any update on the season 2 premiere?
I'm feeling it's going to be early next year, is my feeling that it'll
Okay.
be coming out, because we've only just finished locking the edits and all the rest of it. It's such a process, it really is. But we're very pleased, very very pleased with it, and I think people will just delight at my bowel loosening terror that Sam puts me through. I mean, it took me a while to realize that this was his overall plan, was simply to frighten me, and I thought, good grief, this is supposed to be a friend of mine, and
Well, and you just got him too at his recent book, like one of his engagements. So I was going, "Oh no, is Sam now going to attack back at him?"
oh,
And I'm
it's constant. It's like war. Yes, I mean, basically, when we're not actually sending these sort of little messages to each other, we're planning the next one. So it's a constant. He'll as I speak now, he will be thinking of something to say about me that he will bring out in due course. I try not to see too many of them because obviously it just upsets me too much. But yeah, he's a great friend. He's a great friend. We have a lot of laughs together, and I look forward to being back on set in Outlander. It's simply to just terrify them, actually, as Dougal. That will be my sole goal, even if it's not in the script. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to
oh no,
arrive and be an object of terror to them. Yeah.
go tell Sam like lock his doors, lock the trap,
Yeah.
prepare.
Absolutely.
Young paranoia
Yes.
alert.
Yes. He's coming.
There were two big questions from fans. So one is just, will you ever consider writing a book? And
Yes.
oh yes, are you
Yes.
working on something or do you?
I'm trying to find the time to. Yes,
Okay.
the answer is yes. I very much want to. I have a number of plans in the literary field.
And then just my last question, is there anything you want to say to fans that just love you? Is there anything you want to say to them?
I'm lucky enough to encounter people pretty much on a daily basis who are very kind and take the time to talk to me and things like that. And it's you know having a nearly 40-year career up to this point, and to feel that getting that back. I mean, the kind of feeling I used to get when I was on stage, if a performance was going well, that feedback, that involvement that you have with an audience. It's one of the great joys of this job, is to feel that in some any way, whether they hate your character, whether they love your character, any kind of reaction that you have touched them in that way is tremendously gratifying. So I thank them very much for passing on those kind of messages. They mean a lot.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Graham McTavish talk about House of Dragon. All of the episodes are currently available now, streaming on HBO Max, so make sure you check it out. And head over to Netflix and check out Outlander to see his character Dougal, which is returning for its upcoming season. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.